Jenny Haniver. Jenny Haniver refers to fake sea monsters created by sailors between the 16th and 19th centuries, crafted by drying and manipulating the carcasses of rays and skates to resemble dragons or demons. These grotesque specimens were sold to gullible tourists and collectors in European port towns, particularly in Belgian and Dutch harbors like Antwerp, where the practice flourished. The name likely derives either from the French Anvers, meaning Antwerp, or from a legendary witch, though the exact origin remains debated among historians. Sailors would carefully carve and position the raised body while it dried, emphasizing the pectoral fins to look like wings, elongating the snout and creating menacing facial features. The resulting creatures typically measured between 30 and 60 centimeters and had a skeletal brown or gray appearance that looked genuinely otherworldly. These curiosities were eventually exposed as hoaxes, but they persisted in curio shops well into the 20th century, and some specimens still exist in museums today. Jenny Haniver's represent an important lesson in cryptozoology, demonstrating how human manipulation and the desire for profit created false evidence of sea monsters, influencing early misconceptions in marine biology and showing how easily people could be deceived by cleverly modified natural specimens. Globster. Globster is a term coined in the 1960s to describe large, unidentified organic masses that periodically wash ashore on beaches worldwide, appearing as white or gray gelatinous blobs with no clear skeletal structure or identifiable features. These mysterious carcasses emit a strong decomposition smell and have a fibrous texture, often described as hairy, leading many to speculate they might be unknown species. Before modern DNA testing, globsters sparked genuine cryptozoological debates and investigations, with scientists and enthusiasts alike puzzled by their origin. The most famous examples include the St. Augustine monster that appeared in Florida in 1896, weighing approximately 7 tons, the Tasmanian globster discovered in 1960, and the massive Chilean blob found in 2003 that weighed roughly 13 tons. These pale, formless lumps would lie half buried in sand, surrounded by confused onlookers and often making international news. However, modern DNA analysis has solved most of these mysteries, revealing that the vast majority of globsters are actually decomposed whale blubber and collagen, particularly from sperm whales. When a whale decomposes in the ocean, the collagen fibers in the blubber can separate and create a hairy, fibrous appearance that bears no resemblance to the original animal, completely mystifying those unfamiliar with advanced decomposition processes. Sea monk. The sea monk was a mysterious creature reportedly captured off the coast of Denmark in 1546, described by witnesses as having a human-like face that appeared to be wearing a monk's hood, with a humanoid upper body transitioning to a fish-like lower portion. The creature was caught alive by fishermen near the Øresund Strait and died shortly after capture, creating a sensation across Renaissance Europe. First documented in Swiss naturalist Conrad Gessner's influential work, Historia Animalium, published between 1551 and 1558, the sea monk measured approximately 1.2 to 1.5 meters in length and had a gray or brown coloration. Contemporary illustrations show a creature with what appears to be a robed appearance, with fins resembling the sleeves of a monk's habit, which clearly influenced how observers interpreted what they were seeing. This case demonstrates how religious imagery and cultural context profoundly influenced cryptid descriptions during the Renaissance era, with sailors and fishermen interpreting unfamiliar marine life through the lens of their deeply religious society. Modern marine biologists believe the sea monk was most likely a misidentified angel shark, which has a flattened body and facial features that can appear vaguely humanoid, or possibly a monk seal, both of which could create the hooded appearance described in historical accounts, especially when viewed by individuals already primed to see religious symbolism in the natural world. Lusca. The lusca is a Caribbean cryptid from Bahamian folklore, described as either a giant octopus or a terrifying half-octopus, half-shark hybrid that allegedly inhabits the deep blue holes scattered throughout the Bahamas, particularly around Andros Island. These blue holes are underwater cave systems with vertical entrances that plunge into darkness, and they're known for creating powerful and dangerous tidal currents that can reach speeds exceeding 6 knots, easily capable of dragging swimmers and divers to their deaths. According to local accounts, the lusca has massive tentacles estimated between 15 and 23 meters long, and it's been blamed for numerous disappearances of divers and swimmers over the decades, particularly during incidents in the 1970s through 1990s. The creature is said to lurk deep within these underwater caves, creating powerful whirlpool-like currents when it moves, and some versions describe it as having the body of an octopus with the head of a shark. The blue holes themselves are genuinely hazardous, with documented diving deaths caused by the strong tidal flows, confusing cave systems, and sudden changes in current direction. Marine biologists suggest the Lusca legend may be a cultural explanation for these very real and deadly natural phenomena, though no giant octopus species exists in the Caribbean, the giant Pacific octopus being found in the wrong ocean entirely, making the Lusca's existence highly improbable despite its prominent place in island folklore and tourist legends. Dobhar-Chu. The Dobhar-Chu, whose name means waterhound in Irish, is a cryptid from Irish folklore described as an aggressive otter-like creature roughly the size of a large dog, measuring approximately 1.5 to 2 meters in length. The most famous account involves Grace Connolly, whose 1722 gravestone in Conwall Cemetery, Glenade, County Leitrim, still exists today and depicts the creature that allegedly killed her. According to the inscription and local legend, Grace was attacked and killed by a Dobhar-Chu while washing clothes at the lake's edge, and her husband subsequently tracked down and killed the creature along with its mate, as the animals were said to hunt in pairs. The gravestone's carved image shows a mysterious beast, and the monument continues to attract tourists and cryptozoologists who photograph it as one of the few physical artifacts connected to a cryptid legend. Descriptions of the Dobhar-Chu vary somewhat, with some accounts mentioning white fur with dark markings, while others describe different colorations, but most agree on the otter-like appearance, aggressive territorial behavior, and a distinctive whistling or screaming sound the creature supposedly makes. The Dobhar-Chu may represent cultural memories of a now-extinct species of giant Irish otter, or it could be based on exaggerated encounters with aggressive seals, large eels, or particularly large European otters defending their territory, which can indeed be dangerous when cornered or protecting young. Morgar. Morgar, meaning sea giant in the Cornish language, is a sea serpent, reportedly inhabiting Falmouth Bay off the coast of Cornwall, England, with sightings concentrated primarily during 1975 and 1976, though reports date back earlier. Witnesses describe a creature with a long neck rising 3 to 4 meters above the water's surface, topped with a small head, and a humped back visible when this creature moves through the waves, with total length estimates ranging from 5 to 12 meters. The creature's appearance resembles popular depictions of plesiosaurs, those long-necked marine reptiles extinct for 66 million years, and it's typically described as having gray-brown coloration. The most compelling evidence came in March 1976, when photographs were submitted to the Falmouth Packet newspaper by an anonymous photographer identified only as Mary F., showing unclear dark shapes in the water that could be interpreted as a large animal or various mundane objects. These images remain ambiguous and heavily debated, with skeptics suggesting the photographs show basking sharks, which can create a humped appearance when swimming at the surface, groups of seals moving together, or even elaborate hoaxes. Over 100 sightings were reported during the peak years, with the last significant sighting occurring in 1999. Morgar represents one of Britain's most documented modern sea serpent cases, taken seriously enough to generate newspaper coverage, investigations, and ongoing debate, though no conclusive physical evidence has ever been recovered despite the numerous eyewitness accounts from the Cornish coast. Cadborosaurus. The Cadborosaurus, affectionately nicknamed Caddy, is a cryptid reportedly inhabiting the waters of the Pacific Northwest, particularly around Cadboro Bay in British Columbia, with over 300 documented sightings cataloged since the 1930s. The creature is described as having a long serpentine body that moves with distinctive vertical undulations rather than the horizontal swimming motion typical of fish, a horse-like head on an elongated neck, visible flippers or fins along its body, and length estimates ranging from 5 to 15 meters. Some eyewitness accounts even mention facial hair, or whiskers on the creature's head. The most famous piece of alleged evidence is the Naden Harbor carcass discovered in 1937 inside a sperm whale's stomach, which was photographed but unfortunately lost before thorough scientific examination could be conducted. Marine biologists Ed Bousfield and Paul LeBlanc took Cadborosaurus seriously enough to publish scientific analyses in the 1990s, even proposing the genus name Cadborosaurus wilsi for what they believed might be an undiscovered species. Sightings have been reported along a vast range from Alaska down to the Oregon coast, always in the cold gray-blue waters of the Pacific, Skeptics offer various explanations, including elephant seals, which can appear serpentine when swimming at the surface, oarfish, which are long ribbon-like fish that occasionally appear in unusual locations, or even whale penises, which can extend above water and create bizarre shapes that might be misinterpreted as unknown creatures by startled witnesses. Gambo. The Gambo is the name given to a mysterious carcass that washed ashore on Bungalow Beach in Gambia during February 1983, creating brief international interest in what some hoped might be an unknown species. The decomposed remains measured approximately 4.5 to 4.8 meters in length and weighed an estimated 680 to 900 kilograms, with witnesses describing a long-necked appearance, a relatively small head, and 4 flipper-like appendages extending from a bloated white and gray body. Local residents and government officials examined the carcass, and tissue samples were reportedly taken for potential analysis, though these samples were never properly studied by qualified marine biologists or genetic laboratories. Photographs exist showing the remains in their heavily decomposed state, with the characteristic white bloated appearance common to marine carcasses that have spent significant time in the ocean. Authorities placed the body in refrigeration, presumably to preserve it for scientific examination, but tragically the carcass was disposed of before any thorough investigation could take place, representing a significant lost opportunity for cryptozoology. Marine biologists who have reviewed the photographs suggest the remains most likely belong to a decomposed shark, possibly a frilled shark given the described body structure, or alternatively a dolphin or small whale in an advanced state of decay. The Gambo case demonstrates the critical importance of preserving unusual specimens and conducting proper DNA analysis before disposal, as without such evidence, definitive identification becomes impossible, and speculation continues indefinitely. Ogopogo. The Ogopogo is Canada's most famous lake monster, allegedly inhabiting Lake Okanagan in British Columbia, a massive body of water stretching 135 kilometers in length and plunging to depths of 232 meters. The creature's legend predates European settlement, as the indigenous Sioux people called it Naha'ik, meaning lake demon or sacred creature of the water, and considered it an important and dangerous spiritual entity. European settlers first reported sightings in 1872, and the creature gained widespread attention following a 1926 incident where more than 30 car passengers simultaneously witnessed something large moving through the water. Witnesses consistently describe a snake-like body with multiple humps breaking the surface, dark green or black coloration, a head resembling either a horse or goat, and movement characterized by vertical undulations that create a distinctive wake pattern. The most analyzed piece of evidence is film footage captured by Art Folden in 1968, showing a dark object moving through the water, though the footage remains ambiguous and hotly debated. Multiple sonar contacts have been reported over the decades, but none have been conclusively confirmed or identified. Ogopogo has become a major tourist attraction for the city of Kelowna and remains culturally significant to the Sales people, while skeptics suggest sightings might be explained by wave patterns, floating logs, large sturgeon, or misidentified common animals, creating unusual visual effects in the lake's often choppy waters and varying light conditions. Bunyip. The bunyip is a creature from Australian Aboriginal mythology said to lurk in swamps, billabongs, creeks, and rivers across various regions of Australia, though descriptions vary dramatically between different Aboriginal nations, making it impossible to pin down a single consistent appearance. Some accounts describe the bunyip as dog-faced, others as seal-like, and still others mention tusks, with sizes ranging from that of a large dog to a massive beast capable of killing grown adults. The creature is said to make loud roaring or bellowing sounds at night, and aggressively defends its territory against humans who venture too close to its watery domain. The name bunyip possibly derives from the Wemba or Wergaya languages, though the exact linguistic origin remains debated among scholars. European settlers began recording bunyip accounts from Aboriginal peoples in the 1840s, and in 1845, a partial skull found near Geelong sparked intense debate, though it was later identified as belonging to a deformed calf. The Australian Museum displayed what was claimed to be a bunyip skull in 1847, further fueling public interest and speculation. Modern researchers suggest the bunyip legends might represent cultural memories of extinct megafauna like Diprotodon, a massive wombat-like creature that lived until relatively recently in geological terms, or alternatively, could be based on aggressive encounters with large seals that occasionally venture into freshwater systems, or exceptionally large eels that inhabit Australian waterways and can appear frightening when encountered unexpectedly in murky swamp conditions. Selma. Selma is a lake monster reportedly inhabiting Lake Seljord, known locally as Seljordsvatnet, in the Telemark region of Norway, with recorded sightings dating back to the 1750s, though serious investigations only began in the 1970s. The lake itself measures 12 kilometers in length and reaches impressive depths of 157 meters, providing ample space for a large aquatic creature to potentially remain hidden. Over 100 sightings have been documented, with witnesses consistently describing a serpent-like creature with multiple humps or coils, dark coloration ranging from black to dark brown, and length estimates between 10 and 15 meters. The creature's head is described variously as horse-like or eel-like depending on the witness. Compelling evidence includes video footage captured by Leif Johnny Strömnäs in 1977 and sonar contacts recorded by a Swedish film crew in 1998, though neither piece of evidence has been definitively confirmed as an unknown animal. Norwegian authorities take the legend seriously enough to have erected road signs warning drivers about the creature, and the phenomenon brings substantial tourism revenue to the small town of Seljord. A submarine expedition conducted in the 2000s searched the lake's depths, but found no conclusive evidence of an unusual animal. Scientists and skeptics suggest various explanations, including giant eels, which can grow to surprising sizes in deep lakes, floating logs that create illusions of movement, or lake sturgeon, though whether sturgeon inhabit this particular Norwegian lake remains questionable, making Selma one of the more credible lake monster cases due to the sheer number of witnesses and the multiple forms of documentation. Conrit. Conrit, meaning millipede in Vietnamese, is a cryptid allegedly witnessed by French naturalist Dr. A. Krempf in 1883, when he reportedly discovered a carcass on Sun Tra Beach in Vietnam that defied conventional identification. The creature was described as having a segmented body covered in brown armor plates, with an estimated length between 18 and 30 meters, and a girth comparable to that of a whale, along with multiple legs or appendages visible along its sides. Krempf's account described the segments as resembling those of a giant centipede or millipede, creating an appearance unlike any known marine animal. Tragically, no photographs were taken of this remarkable specimen, and the body allegedly decomposed before proper scientific examination could be arranged, leaving only Krempf's written description as evidence. The fact that a trained naturalist reported this creature gives the account more credibility than many cryptid stories, though the absence of physical evidence remains deeply problematic for verification. Modern marine biologists reviewing the historical account suggest the most likely explanation is a misidentified whale carcass, specifically one where the decomposition process had exposed the vertebral column, creating the appearance of distinct armored segments running the length of the body. When large whales decompose, their vertebrae can become prominent and create a segmented appearance that might genuinely confuse observers unfamiliar with whale anatomy in advanced states of decay, potentially explaining how even an educated naturalist might mistake such remains for an unknown armored sea creature. Ningen. The ningen is a modern cryptid that allegedly inhabits Antarctic waters, with reports emerging from Japanese sources in the 1990s and early 2000s, making it one of the newest entries in cryptozoology folklore. According to accounts that appeared on Japanese internet forums, the creatures were spotted by crew members aboard Japanese whale research vessels operating near Antarctica, describing massive humanoid shapes measuring between 20 and 30 meters in length. The ningen is characterized by its completely white or pale gray coloration, human-like facial features or at least the suggestion of a face, and arms or flippers positioned where human arms would be located. Some descriptions mention a mermaid-like tail, while other accounts claim the creature has leg-like appendages, adding to the inconsistency of reported sightings. Between 2007 and 2009, alleged ningen shapes appeared in Google Earth satellite imagery of Antarctic waters, sparking renewed interest and debate, though these images likely show icebergs, ice formations, or artifacts of satellite photography. No verified photographs exist despite the prevalence of cameras on modern research vessels, and no physical evidence has ever been recovered. Marine biologists suggest that if ningen sightings have any basis in reality, they likely represent misidentified beluga whales, which are white and can appear vaguely humanoid when viewed from certain angles, albino specimens of other whale species, or most likely oddly shaped icebergs viewed under unusual lighting conditions that create pareidolia, the psychological phenomenon where humans see faces and familiar shapes in random patterns, making the Ningen a perfect example of an internet-era cryptid legend. Kraken. The Kraken is a legendary sea monster from Norse and Scandinavian mythology, described in detail since the 1700s and ultimately based on very real encounters with giant squid, specifically Architeuthis ducks, though the legends vastly exaggerated the creature's size and capabilities. Early accounts by Francesco Negri in 1700 and Carolus Linnaeus in 1735 mentioned enormous cephalopods, but the most detailed historical description came from Eric Pontoppidon's Natural History of Norway, published between 1752 and 1753, which described the Kraken as island-sized with a diameter between 1 and 2.5 kilometers. According to legend, the Kraken possessed multiple long tentacles, capable of pulling entire ships beneath the waves, and created dangerous whirlpools when submerging its massive body. Most accounts describe reddish-brown coloration and tentacles thicker than ship masts, with suction marks left on anything the creature touched. In reality, giant squid reach maximum lengths of approximately 12 to 13 meters, while the even more impressive colossal squid can reach 14 meters, and possesses swiveling hooks on its tentacles in addition to suckers. The first photographs of a live giant squid weren't captured until 2004 by Japanese researchers, and the first video footage came in 2012, proving these creatures exist in the deep ocean. The Kraken legend demonstrates how real deep-sea animals that occasionally surfaced or washed ashore inspired mythological exaggerations, with frightened sailors encountering genuine giant squid and then embellishing their stories, creating tales of monsters capable of destroying ships and devouring entire crews. Trunco. Trunco is the nickname given to a mysterious white carcass that washed ashore on Margate Beach in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, on October 25, 1924, witnessed by numerous beachgoers who described an extraordinary creature unlike anything in zoological records. The carcass reportedly measured approximately 14 meters long, 3 meters wide, and 1.5 meters high, covered in what witnesses described as white woolly fur or hair, with mentions of a trunk-like appendage and a lobster-like tail in contemporary newspaper accounts. The most remarkable aspect of the story involves alleged sightings of the creature alive, engaged in a 3-hour battle with 2 killer whales before washing ashore, as reported in the London Daily Mail and local newspapers. The body remained on the beach for approximately 10 days, clearly visible to locals and visitors, yet remarkably no scientist examined it and no close-up photographs were ever taken, only distant shots showing a pale mass on the sand. This represents a tragic missed opportunity for cryptozoology, as proper scientific examination might have resolved the mystery definitively. After the carcass decomposed or was removed, the evidence was lost forever, leaving only newspaper accounts and poor-quality distant photographs. Modern marine biologists reviewing the case almost universally agree that Trunco was most likely a globster, specifically decomposed whale blubber that had separated from the main carcass and washed ashore, with the white matted appearance created by exposed collagen fibers that can indeed resemble hair or fur when whale tissue decomposes in specific ways. Leviathan. Leviathan is a sea monster mentioned in the Hebrew Bible and Old Testament, appearing in the books of Job, Psalms, and Isaiah, where it serves both as a literal creature and as a symbol of chaos and the primordial forces that God controls. The most detailed description appears in Job 41, which provides extensive physical details including impenetrable scales covering its body, the ability to breathe fire or smoke, enormous size that makes it unconquerable by any human force, and a nature so fierce that even the bravest warriors flee in terror. Some Jewish traditions describe Leviathan as having multiple serpentine heads, taking on dragon-like characteristics that influence Western mythology for centuries. Scholars believe the description may be based on the Nile crocodile, which ancient Hebrews would have encountered in Egypt, or alternatively represents cultural memories of large marine animals like whales or ancient crocodilians. The creature has connections to earlier Ugaritic texts that mention a similar being called Lotan, suggesting the concept predates Hebrew scripture. In medieval interpretations, Leviathan was sometimes equated with whales, as seen in John Milton's Paradise Lost, which depicts the creature as a massive whale. According to Jewish eschatology, Leviathan will be slain at the end of days, and its flesh served as a feast for the righteous. The creature represents God's power over chaos and the natural world in theological contexts, though debates continue among scholars about whether the text describes a real animal, employs symbolic language, or combines both literal and metaphorical meanings to convey theological truths about divine sovereignty over creation. Cthulhu. Cthulhu is a fictional cosmic entity created by American horror writer H.P. Lovecraft, first appearing in his short story The Call of Cthulhu, published in the magazine Weird Tales in 1928. Yet this fictional creation has become so culturally influential that it appears in discussions of real cryptids and ocean mysteries. Lovecraft described Cthulhu as a vaguely humanoid creature with an octopus-like head covered in writhing tentacles, dragon-like wings extending from its back, and enormous size measuring hundreds of meters tall when fully manifested. According to the story, the creature lies dormant in the sunken city of R'lyeh, located in the South Pacific Ocean at coordinates 47 degrees 9 minutes south and 126 degrees 43 minutes west, a location near Point Nemo, which is indeed the most remote point in Earth's oceans. The entity possesses telepathic abilities that drive humans insane when they encounter its alien consciousness, and it is worshipped by various cults who await the time when the stars align properly for Cthulhu's awakening. Lovecraft reportedly based the creature on his own dreams and extensive research into world mythology, creating what became known as the Cthulhu mythos, later expanded by numerous other writers. Though explicitly fictional in origin, Cthulhu has inspired real-world expeditions and speculation about unknown deep-sea creatures, demonstrating how Lovecraftian cosmic horror has influenced popular culture's approach to ocean mysteries. The concept shows the power of fiction to shape how people think about the unexplored depths, with some enthusiasts half-seriously suggesting that unknown creatures as bizarre as Cthulhu might actually exist in Earth's least explored environment. Bloop. The bloop was an extremely powerful ultra-low frequency underwater sound detected multiple times by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Autonomous Hydrophone Array during the summer of 1997, with the source located at approximately 50 degrees south latitude and 100 degrees west longitude in the Pacific Ocean. The sound was detected by multiple hydrophone stations simultaneously from over 5,000 kilometers away, making it one of the loudest underwater sounds ever recorded by NOAA at that time, and the audio pattern showed frequencies that rose rapidly over approximately 1 minute before fading. The mysterious nature of the sound, combined with its immense power, and the fact that it came from deep ocean waters, sparked immediate speculation in cryptozoology circles about enormous unknown creatures, possibly even larger than blue whales. For years, the bloop remained unexplained and became a favorite topic among cryptid enthusiasts who suggested it might be evidence of truly massive undiscovered marine animals lurking in the ocean's depths. However, in 2005, NOAA scientists determined the sound's characteristics matched those of ice quakes, specifically the sound created when massive icebergs crack and break away from Antarctic ice shelves, also called calving events. The sound profile, frequency pattern, and location all align with ice-related events rather than biological sources, though this explanation has not stopped the bloop from maintaining its status in cryptid culture. The case represents an important example of how scientific anomalies fuel imagination, and even after a mundane explanation is provided, the mystery retains cultural power, demonstrating that sometimes reality is less exciting than speculation, but the legend persists regardless. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.